So we was at, when we left, we just talked about the fact that no support, social services and stuff, they're all on the same side as opposed to the parents, which were all victimised and put in a vulnerable single position. In terms of that, how would you feel that applied to you? That you were sort of segregated from the people in your support network?
Well, I hadn't signed the section 20. I had asked for my son back formally in writing through my solicitor.
Yeah.
When I got to court, the judge himself said that I was not an unfit parent. Then what happened, the judge said he thought to give me a chance.
Yeah.
He discovered the fraud at first phone I laid in what the social worker guardian had done. So he said, would you like a chance to get your son home? I said, yes please, I'll do anything to get my son home.
Yeah.
Well, what had happened, there'd been a threshold put in. I'd asked my son back, and there'd been like a certain period of time that had gone by and they got me into court. And then in this threshold, it had been said that I was suffering from an emotionally unstable personality disorder, which I see used by a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody gets the same chance that I did, not that it did me any favours,
Yeah.
because I did the therapy, and I was told that I set my phone colours even before that was complete. I had a brilliant therapist. So, you know, she broke down that I wasn't suffering from emotional unstable personality disorder.
Yeah.
We get back to court, the judge doesn't really touch too much on that I'd passed the therapy there. He just said the mother's done better than expected. He just barely got touched on at all. But then still, by the end of the second court hearing, Dr. King, the psychiatrist who I'd been to see for about 10 years previous, stemming back from when I was married, and you know what was wrong with that. He said, Dr. King said that he didn't want to build my house up, but he thought that I would be looking at getting my son back.
Yeah.
So of course, when I got back to court, there'd been problems with my son getting beat up in the Taunton Children's Home. I didn't saw nothing from him being in any of these classes either. So I'd kept him at home. That was with the second long-term social worker. I had two long-term ones. That was with her blessing, and it was also with the judge's blessing. He said he would have thought less of me as a parent had I not kept my second eldest child at home.
Yeah.
So I was doing all that right. I've passed the therapy work. I've got my eldest son at home who by then has been assessed.
Yeah.
But then there's still my daughter running her, which went against me. It was used against me. It was suggested that I had partner selection training.
Right.
But like, you know, all these sort of things were known about from the beginning. And there was just slowing coming forward to get any of this done.
Yeah.
You know, it just took 7 years my case went on board. It was the longest running case for Edinburgh Social Services.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the end of it, I lose my son to a rupture. I don't know, was it on time scales or was it because of the money? I have actually got evidence. I've got written evidence, recorded evidence, screenshot evidence. I've got so much evidence that I was actually set up as a parent, which did not make it into court. My solicitor, I went on to have a founding breach. I had two solicitors. The first one was before my case ended. Well, sorry, it hadn't ended. The judge had decided that my youngest was going to be adopted. Yeah. Then that solicitor firm did not want to know. They said, we're going private, we're not dealing with family matters anymore. Something like it's too much hassle for them. Yeah. You know, it took me a number of years to get my files back from them. The second solicitor firm lost my files. I got compensation. Well, I got compensation through the both solicitors because the second one I'd lost my files. Yeah. It wasn't until I tracked my solicitor down 8 years later that she told me that firm could have helped me. She said they would have had to have been against appeal, but they could have helped me. Yeah. Which brings me up to the point where, you know, I was more or less told I'd lost my and I hadn't.
Yeah.
I was told it was fruitless, me trying to get anything done, because once the judge has made his decision, that's it. But the evidence what my first solicitor had not put in, before the decision of adoption was made, came through my sister and her husband. It was being considered that my sister adopted my youngest at the time.
Yeah.
So the first long-term social worker had gone out to see them. And my sister had asked what happens if we can't do this, because we've got our own children to consider as well.
Yeah.
And it was put across them how such a big decision it is to be made. And the social worker said they'd be having my youngest off me anyway, that that's what they was going to be doing, and I was planning to use mental health against me. I don't think a diagnosis had even been made or anything.
Yeah.
In fact, they got the EUP diagnosis wrong, and the judge was not happy to conclude the case without a diagnosis being made on there. Why, I don't know, if there was none. But Dr. King turned around and said, well, if there was anything, I would say it's OCD.
Yeah.
And if it is, it would be mild OCD. But yeah, the social worker told my sister and her husband, who both did my witness statements.
Yeah.
I found out the day before before I was due to find out if I got paid, the day before I was due to get my youngest child back on it, I found out from my sister then that I'd been set up, because I told her, I said, I know that I'm being set up, you know, the judge has found fraud now.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I've got something to tell you, and she hung her head down. She said, you are, and I haven't been able to tell you, I've been sworn to confidentiality.
Yeah.
And she told me what you'd do next and the whole court process and everything. And I said, well, I'm going to be going to court tomorrow to find out if I get my son back or not. It's too late for me to speak, I've already got my evidence.
Yeah.
So I wrote a letter and I handed it to a barrister, and I was just addressing I have not had a fair trial. I didn't know anything about Article 6,
Yeah.
like with it being an unfair trial, rights to a fair trial. I didn't know none of that, and I just said how the side that acted for me had carried out the work properly, unlike the other side. I didn't know that my side had not carried the work out properly. It took me years to get some of this evidence. The witness statements that was given to my solicitor, I've got written evidence that she'd misled.
Yeah.
Because yes, the letters did get to court, she'd made it appear to me in writing that basically that the letters was in with the work, like that was in the bundle, saying that I wish for these family member statements to be added in support bundle. I think one of them was my dad's. The manager there, so I got to find out now that she was lying about me, because she basically laughed in my face about it while she stood there with the social worker.
Yeah.
After my social worker had gone disclosing private information about my family to third parties. And that had been
Again, breaking their own data protection act, which they swear
yeah,
on.
but they've all the backs covered. It was actually written down on a piece of paper, and at the time this my partner came and told me, he said, I've been told that you let one of your children off, sorry, not let one of the children, that one of your children had had to climb up on the porch roof, and he'd had to do it several times to wake you up.
Yeah.
I'd started getting a bit of a part-time job. I was on my own, single parent, I was allowed to earn £20 a week, so I was doing that.
Yeah.
He had to climb up on the porch once, but it was stupid things like that that checked the law, saying that he'd be free to get to do it. Like the one night I found up primary care, and I'm going through this breakdown, and I'm saying, like, I feel like stabbing, and I looked round and saw the coffee table in front. I said, the coffee table.
Yeah.
She tried to change that to saying I said I felt like stabbing the children. Now, if I would have said I felt like stabbing the children, who's the first people that primary care would have been ringing to come out and remove my children?
Exactly.
And she put that into court in writing. Now, Why don't the judge pick up on things like
Well,
that?
this is exactly the point I was going to make. I mean, without seeing the evidence, without knowing anything, just from what I've heard from meeting you, you could already look at the situation and say, look, they chose you from day one, and made a decision from day one.
We should let my sister then.
And exactly, they'd already made the decision long before anything happened, and they were just basically following the same direction that they were going in. So you think, especially like you said, one of the longest running cases in Redditch social services. So
this is what Redditch social
how
services
many
involve
potential
now.
social workers, magistrates, solicitors, clerks, how many different people over 7 years looked at your file and didn't say, hang on a minute, how's this happened, or what's gone on here, or how's this managed to get in? No one's done that. So it just confirms to me that all of these people work to the same agenda, because a magistrate that wasn't on some sort of payroll or on some sort of incentive-driven bonus thing would look at that and say, well, what's this based on? You know, how are you pursuing this when all the evidence is against it? But no one ever does that. You never see a magistrate throw a case out and prosecute a social... Well, maybe 1 in 100. Possibly the magistrate might say, no, this is stupid. But they'll just go down another avenue, get a different magistrate, and they'll take the kids eventually, you know.
I haven't personally heard of any cases like that in the UK. I mean, Judge Mundy's been saying about social workers, looking at them down to prison.
Yeah.
I haven't known about cases like that.
There's 2 or 3 cases I can think of where it's been in the paper that a social worker's lied and been caught lying and they've apparently been fired. But then at the same time, although I can't 100% prove it, I've got documents to prove that all they've done is been moved to the next county and they're working. You know, there's people that recognise these people and they see them and they know what they're doing and they just say, oh, it's not the same person, she was sacked. This is rubbish. They don't even sack the people they know are doing. They're just moving somewhere else where they might not be recognised. So even you think the odd person, the odd magistrate, the odd judge that might do their job properly, they're still fighting against the system that they've got no power against. Because they'll just blag the judge even if he's decent and they'll say, yeah, we've sacked her, she's been dismissed. But really, she's just working somewhere.
So the judge has got to know this is happening?
Yeah, have to. That's the only way you can look at it and say, how is nobody pulling this up? How is no one looking at this? I mean, you mentioned Tony Blair earlier, his wife Cherie, she's one of the worst people in the whole of this because she's supposed to be this barrister that was, she made her money essentially from really sticking to justice and really supporting people. Yeah, right. I mean, she's one of the worst people that started all this because it's her legislation, it was her suggestions that got a lot of the stuff passed. And she then lobbied a lot of it when she had the chance to come and say, look, this isn't working. What I've suggested is destroying families. We need to change it. She didn't do that at all. She lobbied for it and saying, well, look how many kids were taken away from families. It's working.
Well, my case did run about the time that I think there's always been some form of adoption targets, but
from the early 80s,
it
it's been
started
going.
to become a bit more well known. I think it was around the year 2000.
Yeah. When Tony Blair got in and Labour Party took over, they really sort of pushed this target, not just for social services, the police exactly the same. You can look at the sort of statistics from 2000 onwards in terms of things like speed cameras and the police watching speed trap vans. All those things were massively ramped up because targets were driven, which brought in money. It wasn't so much the arrest rate, which people often say, well, police have got an arrest rate. Not necessarily.
I've got good reason to believe that as well because when I gave birth to my second eldest, they were did lose them, and I had some support. There was a childminder that was looking after my eldest and taking him to play school, just to give me more time to build that band up even more so than my second eldest, to give me that time. And I've ended up bringing about a complaint about that social worker, and I became down with me. Yeah. I never saw that social worker again. I never saw another social worker, even though I wasn't involved long term. There was just nothing. Yeah. And it wasn't until I come back to the hospital where I got beaten up by my ex-husband, and I was asked if I wanted social services help then, and I said after the last one, no, thank you. Yeah. I was asked her name. It was Julie Jones. She was a Welsh lady, long red hair, and I was told, oh no, don't worry, she's fine, she has. It'll be another one, which indicated there was some sort of problem with her. Yeah. The same as with the first long-term social worker, I'd gone to to the advocacy on Greenland in Redditch, and as soon as I mentioned Debbie's name and things that had happened, like the first long-term social worker, she said, oh, I know that name. She wrote it down at the top of the paperwork. She said, I can't tell you what it is, it's confidential, but that name has cropped up before, like with other parents, you've heard the name.
Yeah.
And there've been problems with it, which said I really can't tell, it's confidential.
Yeah.
Which is as it should have been, but it indicates that there'd been a problem then with that social worker. I was the first long-term case, but obviously she would have had other cases that she was working on as well.
Yeah. Well, in that instance, I don't know that there's no legislation, I think, to make sure that they do. But for example, a number of years ago, I had a series of issues with Orange. They were CE now, but it was Orange then, the phone company. And I was spoke to like absolute rubbish by one of the managers when I complained about an advisor, like an agent, a normal person, and I got put to a manager apparently, and I got abused by them. And I think I did about 4 letters in the end before I finally got somewhere making complaints, because I wasn't happy. They were completely in the wrong. They charged me for something that I hadn't paid for, and then abused me when I moaned about it. And it turned out that the guy that had told me that he was a manager was actually the guy that sat next to the other guy, and they'd literally just switched headsets and told me that he was the manager. And they sent me his P45 when they sacked him to prove to me that they'd sacked him. I mean, I'm not sure whether that's just their company policy or whether that's something that should be done. But if you've made an official complaint about someone because of their actions, and then you've been told or at least sort of notified, look, don't worry, they're gone, you should be given proof that they're gone. It shouldn't just be like, don't worry, they're gone, because that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I was just left to it. I didn't hear from the social worker.
I think you should be given, not necessarily a copy of their P45, but you should be given something to say, this person has been fired, they've been dismissed from the company, they're banned from working within social services, or whatever, just for your own satisfaction. Because otherwise, well, they're not even necessarily got to be moved. They might just take up from your case. You know, you could still bump her into uptown or whatever, and she's
I've heard cases of this happening.
Yeah. Well, I can believe it. I mean, it's a lot of hard work to say to a social worker, if you live in, say, Worcestershire, you're going to have to move you to Gloucestershire, and you're going to have to, you know, up your family and move house and all this stuff just because you got sacked. They'll be like, nah, what we'll do is we'll just put you on a different case, the other side of town, you know, and just use a different court or whatever. They wouldn't. I think a lot of these social workers wouldn't be forced to be moved.
Or with my case, the first long-term social worker, my second eldest was supporting somebody who went to youth offending team.
Yeah.
And when he got there, he saw our first long-term social worker there, and he turned around to whoever was speaking to who he was with, and said, oh, don't like that social worker, she took my baby brother.
Yeah.
And he was told, well, we can't tell you why she's here, but she does not work in that part for children's social services anymore.
Yeah.
Which led him to the impression that maybe she'd been sacked or moved on, like you're explaining.
Yeah. Well, same as the countless amounts of people that you speak to, and they'll say, what happened to the social worker that took your kids? Oh, she got promoted. You know, that happens so often. She got a promotion, you know, and necessarily taken out of the field, say, in terms of actually being a hands-on social worker. They'll be put in an office somewhere, and they're just signing forms. And you know, you don't hear about them anymore. You might see their stamp somewhere along the line, but you're not having confrontations with these people. They're not turning up to court, they're not coming to your house, they're not assessing you. They are literally sat in an office somewhere stamping forms, because but it's as if you're promoted on the basis that you're good at your job, you're trustworthy, you know, you don't care about people, you're perfect. You know,
they're getting promoted through lying. Yeah,
basically, and that's exactly why they're promoted, because like I said, some of these people, they are great social workers. I believe they're out there, but they know they're working for an industry which isn't great. They know they're working for an industry that is essentially corrupt. And it might not be all of them, but if some of them are doing it, same with the police. If you know that most of the police right now aren't thinking about people's best interests, and the vast majority of them are far more interested in bringing in revenue, in the terms of, you dropped a cigarette butt in the street, and they'd be far more interested in fining you for dropping that cigarette butt than, say, a man that punched another man. That would be hassle to them. They're not really interested. The revenue is spurring everything on. So if you're a good, honest police officer that avoids common law, and that's the first thing that you do, you should still be ashamed of every other police officer that isn't, and it should make you want to change your job, or at least change the profession that you work for.
I totally agree.
And this is why people that say to me sometimes, well, I don't know, you know, have you got any personal experience of bad social workers? And I say no. But even the good ones are working for a bad company. And good people that work for bad companies essentially are either going to be turning a blind eye, or eventually they're going to be pushed and coerced into being bad people too. That's the way it lasts.
It sends
Of course it does, you know. And these people that say are genuinely empathetic people with parents, and they're going out there and they're trying to keep families together, they don't last 5 minutes. Social services will sack those people. You know, them are the ones that are getting fired, and then probably what they'll do is they'll release a news story saying, oh, this bloke got fired for lying, when in fact they actually got fired for speaking out.
Yeah.
But all they've got to do is print a story that says they got fired for lying, and then obviously parents that have suffered think, oh, finally a bit of justice, but really it's lies. Yeah. And they can brand that however they want. And that person, you know, probably got gagged as well. They probably got made to sign an order where you can't ever talk about why you were sacked for 10 years, say. And 10 years' time, everyone's forgot. And this happens with basic stuff, so it might even be worse than that.
Well, the best has got to be where I wrote to Kafkas for the Falls when I got sent 6 items. I think it amounted to about 12 pages.
Yeah.
I paid my £10
Yes,
under
nearly
a
a pound a
subject
page.
access request. Yeah. And I got sent about 12 pages, and the writing, I don't think I can do my finger small enough for how small it. It was an old man.
Yeah.
An old man that wore glasses. I don't know how he read it himself, but
that would have been a trained technique that he would have developed over a number of years, especially for the fact that people can't read it. It's the same with people that write, you know, I look at it and I think it's a mess, but they think it's joined up writing, you know, and it's really posh and it makes them look up, but I can't read it.
Well, they couldn't decide.
And they purposely do that. They purposely do that because you can't commit either way. There's no proof of anything. They can sort of take the gist of it, but if they can't understand it, it doesn't. And it's the same as if it's defending you. Quite often, you will see a fax which has been photocopied 2 or 3 times, usually with the lid lifted up very, very slightly, so it's all black at the top, and they'll go, oh, this is what they were sent. It's like, no. No doctor's surgery in the country is that stupid, and they employ secretaries that can photocopy it, because it's a big part of the job. There's no way that they are sending me this document for a court case. That's how you presented it. But what are you supposed to do? You know, unless you've gone into the doctors yourself and got, you know, I always try and say to anyone, if you've got a teacher or a GP or whatever that knows your family and knows your children, that's the best person that can help you. Especially if it's a teacher that got on well with your kids, say, and you know they went through 4 years of being their form tutor. That would be someone that I would think would be a perfect person to come to court with you. Because they know you as a parent from parents' evenings and such. They know that you're not a bad parent because they've experienced how you brought your child up. No, well, they can. They really can. A lot of them will say...
They could do. One with my family's letters.
Yeah, they could. A lot of them will say, oh, hang on, we don't want to get involved because they're worried about their careers. But at the end of the day, your career is based around bringing children up. And if you know that one of your pupils, especially a pupil that you got on with, has been taken away from his parents, your job shouldn't matter. You know, you should be trying your hardest to get that kid back because you know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, for the child.
Yeah, it's irrelevant of whether, you know, you might lose your job, but at the end of the day, if you're in a middle school or a primary school, say, and you support a mother who's had the child taken, and all of a sudden you start having some harassment yourself, every other teacher in that school should back you up. They should be like, no, that's a great person that's done the right thing. Well, I know that she's not a horrible teacher. You know, they're all friends, they're all family, they all get on. That's when it has to happen. You all have to defend one another. And can you imagine the first parent that had, say, a head teacher of a primary school that went to represent them, sit with them in court and say, no, I know this person, I know the child, you're talking rubbish. And when they started having to go at that headmaster, the whole school said, no, you're the horrible people. We know this guy for 20 years. You know, the Parents Teaching Association, all these people could come in and support. And all of a sudden, from one mother, you'd have such a big network of people that nobody would ignore because they're teachers or, you know, they're school governors or whatever, and people would straight away respect them and believe you just because of one person.
Well, instead, I was experiencing things like my second eldest son had dyed his hair.
Yeah.
He told a little lie that he didn't know it was meant to turn out blackberry when it was blonde. Obviously, you know, the teachers would have seen through that, but I think they found that quite funny.
Yeah.
Well, I turned around to them and I said, at this meeting, why is it that you're singling my son out for colouring his hair when I've seen children walk past me while I've been sat within the school with the hair bleached? You could see it was obviously bleached hair.
Yeah.
I said, is that just because I've got social services involved? You know, why isn't the same rule applying for all of those children?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's when it suits. It's sort of, if like you're in a situation where already they can see that people are on your back, of course, it's the same with anything. They can start making silly little things, but then you can go back to like the Daniel Parker case, say, where why didn't his teachers do anything? I mean, if I was a teacher and there was a kid coming to me that I could see was obviously a bag of bones, I wouldn't care who his parents are. I wouldn't send him home. I wouldn't care if it lost me my job. I wouldn't care if the police came. I would say it would make me a terrible human being to send this child back to a place where I know that he's not happy. And you could see that. I mean, some of them pictures on the CCTV, I looked at him and I was like, I can't believe you taught him. I can't believe you didn't take him to A&E. And I think most of them, they turn a blind eye because they don't want the hassle of it. They don't want, you know...
Well, it's like, I knew I was risking not getting my son back by having my second eldest back again, where they had got beaten up in the children's home by staff. Now, I know the judge, I saw this breakdown, he wanted that investigated, he wanted it seriously investigated. I never got to see a report from that. I was just led to believe that nothing came of it. But my second eldest told me that some of those that was employed to work there no longer work there.
Yeah.
But he'd got beaten up and I kept him at home knowing damn well it's getting that person finding out if I get his younger brother back. It was about mother children as well and looking out for other children.
Yeah. But in exactly the same sense, I mean, I imagine half these people that work in care homes and stuff are not sacked, they're not dismissed, not fired, you know, they just move somewhere else. You know, if this heat gets up a little bit and a few kids make a complaint, so just ship them off somewhere into a different home where people don't know them. And, you know, they might act a bit nicer for a little while and...
They've just got no repercussions.
Otherwise, what you would have is, you would have tens of thousands of people that were out of work over the last few years that would be speaking out, that were saying, I worked in this service, you're right, it was horrible, especially if they sacked you. You know,
it would certainly help with locals having more anti-social workers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think that there does need to be change. We do need anti-social workers.
Yeah.
Because without that, this is just going to continue, and at the end of the day, the parents suffering are.
Thank you. That's right.
Thank you.
That's right.
But ultimately, it's going to be the children that are suffering.
Yeah, of course.
It's not their,
which essentially is the reason they take them, apparently.
Yeah.
And they cause it. You know, I mean, every person that I think I've ever spoke to who's had their child taken on the possibility of future abuse has either obviously instantly been abused the second that they're taken away from their parents, or even more so, definitely been abused within a few minutes of being in some sort of care service. Like,
well, I think they instigate a lot of it, social services do, because I was told to let my daughter wear like the fashionable short skirts she wanted to wear.
Yeah.
It wasn't them who was with their child at the bus stop when the horns were getting picked at their child.
Yeah.
It wasn't them that was there when Sam, our daughter, got into all the problems she did off other males.
Yeah.
And then when things got really bad, I don't know, social services just treat it like, oh, we'll just have another cup of tea. It's that sort of attitude. And then
that
I've tried to get an apology from my daughter and they've said I'm too late.
I mean,
she knew that I was doing that on her behalf.
This is again, I mean, if you were sort of, it horrifies me to be in this position, to hear these things. And you think if you're doing that every day as a job, you know, the amount of people you're speaking to, and it's not having any effect on you. I think almost every social worker should be screened for mental health problems, because I'm pretty sure that most of them have them.
I've said that, yeah, you
know,
definitely.
I don't
well, they've got to do to lower the way they do.
And whether some of them lie to sort of themselves as well when they go home and think, no, she was a bad mum or whatever, and that's how they convince themselves. So whether they're ignorant of it, either way, that's a mental problem that would be enough against you for them to take children away.
Well, really, what I would like to know is they use risk of significant and emotional harm against me to get my youngest child. But so was there a risk of significant and emotional harm to my other three children? And by the end of the court case, it was established that I wasn't a risk of significant harm to my youngest child anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see where I was at a risk of emotional harm because of my breakdown.
But in the sense of a possible risk of emotional harm in the future, I mean, what does that boil down to? Because most young kids have got grandparents, and eventually one of those is going to pass away. And obviously, if they've got a good relationship with their grandparents, the idea of them never being able to see them again, when you first tell them that they passed away, that's essentially, if you want to look at it in them terms, that is future emotional abuse. You can't prevent it, it's just something that happens. But
same with the breakdown.
yeah, same with anything, same with absolutely anything. I mean, you could suffer, say, nothing to do with social services. You could have 3-4 kids and 2 of them could die in a car crash. And for the rest of your family, for years, you are going to all suffer. You're going to be depressed, you're going to be terrible. But that's not something you can control. I mean, I could understand, say...
Well, with my youngest natural sons, daddy's died.
Yeah.
There was nothing that could have been done. They can say that would cause emotional harm.
Exactly.
But like, then,
and you think as well,
is it his fault or...
Did he sort of die still blaming himself for something that he actually never did it wrong? He will never sort of get a chance to
He will never know
appease it.
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
And same for your son, he will never get to speak to him and, have it explained from his dad. Look, I'd never do that to you. It's an accident, although he might not need it himself, but these things, I don't understand.
So many unanswered questions.
Yeah, of course, and I mean, a big part of it is, like I've mentioned before, lots of these kids, especially once they've been adopted, you might not know where on earth they are. You don't know if they're alive or dead. Especially if you've got some court order against contact, you'll never know. I mean, is there some sort of legislation that says if they die from anything, you've got to be notified? Would you get a copy of
No, they haven't got to
exactly.
tell you. I've seen it on the feed.
Yeah, so, I mean, well, especially if you've lost parental responsibility, you've got no rights to a death certificate, even if you can prove they died, because you've got no rights to it. No. So, that must be a terrible, terrible thought for people.
Well, you're left in limbo because, like, while your children are actually with you, or even if they're with foster carers, grandparents, children's home, whatever, you're in an ambulance, you start shaking and panicking. Is there something wrong with my child?
Yeah.
Because normally, well, not always, but, when they're located in the local vicinity of the area, and you're panicking that something could have happened to one of your children.
I can completely understand that. You haven't got a clue. I mean, you get a phone call in the middle of the night, and your thoughts are always going to be worst case scenario about something you don't even know. And I think that's, well, if it's not emotional abuse to the child, which that obviously is by separate right, it's certainly emotional abuse to the parents. So why is that okay? I mean, some of the lawsuits you could Google straight away where, say, a woman was working in a pretty professional legal practice. Well, prime example, a couple of years ago, the 2 Sky Sports commentators and pundits, Andy Gray and Richard Keys, got sacked because Andy Gray got recorded for making a comment about a woman which was apparently sexist. Not only did he lose his job, he got fined a significant amount of money and she sued him for abuse. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not abuse. That's a man making a comment about a woman. So, if that's abuse, you think of some of the cases parents have got against social services. Just every single parent, even if they manage to get their children back in the end, they've still been abused by social services. They've still been lied about. They've still been sort of, well, almost sort of cast aside by society without doing anything wrong. I mean, I'm sure when things first started happening for you, even people that you thought were friends thought, wow, you've obviously done something wrong, or...
I've lose a lot of friends, yes.
I can imagine it.
And I'm believing everything I'm being told by these professionals.
Yeah.
I'm telling all these professionals how the social workers lying about now. I remember the Guardian said, oh yes, I know, you've already told us about it, they'll be lying about it. And it was that sort of attitude.
Yeah, as if it doesn't matter,
But then when I requested them files back, it's like I get sent this minimal paperwork in his handwriting. That didn't send me nothing from the second Guardian ad litem because he was made to stay on our case until the decision was made. He had actually asked to step down, and the judge hadn't reported it to the board or nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't see my case on the community website, like what should have happened. So a social worker is informed there. That's what should have happened.
Yeah.
And this is why she told me she didn't believe my story.
Yeah.
But the fraud just was not mentioned. And then when I asked for the documentation back from my subject access request, I was told that the writing couldn't be deciphered and that the files had been destroyed because my case was from a long time ago. I requested to see the signature from the manager that had authorised more files to be destroyed.
Yeah.
But like really, how could more files have been destroyed when they'd got them out of archive several times anyway?
Yeah.
You know, that's quite
But what I always think in these situations as well is, why would you destroy them? Why wouldn't they just send them to you? They don't want them anymore and they're going to burn them or whatever they supposedly do with them to destroy them. Why don't they just send them to you?
Well, there was an example. I wanted some paperwork back, what I'd sent to the first MP, who was Jackie Smith for that bitch.
Yeah.
Her response to me was, well, I don't know, yeah. Well, now I'm one of the constituents, you know,
it's not
first,
yeah, obviously.
So I'd asked for the paperwork back for her, and I remember being on the phone to where I'd rang, and she'd lost her seat by then, I'm pleased to say, because she was no help to me.
No.
And I was told that paperwork had been destroyed,
yeah.
but we had been written to, we'd been wrote to ask us if we wanted our paperwork. I said, well, actually, no, I didn't receive a letter. And the phone just went down.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I got sent paperwork to me, which she hadn't even looked at my paperwork when I'm trying to get something done about all this. Fortunately, the newer MP, Karen Lumley, has been supportive to me in the sector. Yes, she has. But then there's only so much they can do. Like, they can help with the letter pushing for you.
Yeah.
But then if it comes back, oh, we've done this, we've done that. And there's still things there that can be challenged, like, for example, with the Kafkas. For 2 years I'd kept that letter writing up, you know, asking where my documents are, challenging it all. Yeah. So I'd had to involve the MP to get onto the Parliamentary of Health before it could be looked at further.
Yeah.
So I did that and she agreed to do it, and she wrote to Kafkas. I was actually moving house at the time, so then what happened, I got a letter because Kafka said, no, we'll look into it, we'll deal with it. And all I basically said was, well, we've looked back into it, there's nothing else that can be done, you know, our decision just stands the same.
Yeah.
I couldn't challenge it at the time because by then, my natural son is actively seeking to find his natural family.
Yeah.
So, of course, that became a priority. I'd applied under special circumstances then to the court for face-to-face contact, which was something that was being looked at anyway. They tell a lot of parents this will still allow you to have face-to-face contact. But then you oppose it, what they're doing, you don't sign Section 20.
Yeah.
Oh, the parents are against this. I don't think we should let them have face-to-face contact. So I think that's usually when it goes to the adoption panel that they do this.
Yeah.
That they was going to let his siblings see him as well, my youngest, that was adopted.
But it's another part of it, whilst on the subject, is why do so many kids get split up? You know, kids that are taken together, families, especially when their ages are close.
That was Martin Mary.
You know,
he's engineered a lot of this.
What, you know, the only possible reason that you'd want to split kids up is because it makes the kids vulnerable as well, you know, and it makes them easier to manipulate, easier to brainwash essentially. And I mean, look at it from this point of view. If you say got 3 kids taken from you, one's 10, 11, and then 6 and 4, something like that. The older one is automatically going to assume whether they're male or female, a parental role, whether it's, you know, the father or the mother. They're going to look out for the 2 younger ones. They're going to see that as a role. So the first time that you take him away, not only is he going to feel like he has let his brother and sister down, but they're going to feel lost. And it's exactly why they do it.
There was a lot of pressure put onto him, but there really was, because, you know, my eldest son, everything I went through. In fact, he was at my house for 3 weeks in total. And that's throughout the whole lot.
Yeah.
He came back and he voted with his feet. He said, Mum, he said, I live here, I miss my house, I miss my bedroom, I'm staying here. But that boy would have his eyes rolled up every time the door knocked.
Yeah.
You know, thinking, am I going to be took away next?
Well,
he was really frightened. He had to shoulder so much responsibility.
I can imagine. I mean, imagine it from a young child's point of view. They don't even understand. I mean, they can understand in the sense that, you know, it's injustice to my mum and I know that she's not a bad person, but the actual fear side of it, that must be unbearable.
I could see it, and as a parent, you see it.
Of course, and obviously you would blame yourself for that, you know, you would feel like this is all my doing. I mean, it is.
Oh, I did.
I can imagine. And in all these things, like I've mentioned before, it's not just the actual losing a child